Yo, guys, I don't even know what to say. It's bad, and I feel bad. The New Orleans Pelicans went into this season with high hopes. I loved the offseason acquisition of Dejounte Murray. It gave him a true point guard, so CJ McCollum can go to shooting guard or be the sixth man. I like that Trey Murphy and Herb Jones were going to be, big parts of this team. And I like them drafting Yves Messi because I thought he could be the Derek Lively of this year's draft class. And I thought, hey, they're one in-season trade away from getting another center to help out Daniel Tice and Yves Messi, and then this whole team is going to work out. Now, they have started the year 4-17, and they are the most unhealthy team. They're constantly injured. So I want to hear your thoughts today. Do you think the New Orleans Pelicans should do what the Grizzlies kind of did last year and just take a gap year, go for a high draft pick, and try to regroup next year? And I know the news came out, Brandon Ingram almost went to Utah till he killed the deal. And basically, Brandon Ingram is looking like it's going to be near impossible to trade him because all the teams that are willing to give him the extension that he wants or places like Utah that he doesn't want to go to, and then all the other teams don't want to trade for him. So it's looking like either they're going to have to trade for someone who's a lateral move, like a Jeremy Grant, or going after somebody in Chicago or Chris Miller. You know what I mean? Like they're just going to end up trading Brandon Ingram for a lateral move at the deadline if they don't go for a gap year. But if they do choose the gap year, maybe they can work on the relationship and they can get him on a more financially flexible contract, or even just sign and trade him in the offseason for somebody else or a better value deal than being rushed at the deadline. So that's one thing I'm thinking about. Then it'll allow you to at least see what you have in Dejounte Murray. You might be able, we're hearing that the CJ McCollum trade rumors are happening. We'll talk about that. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts. If you are a Pelicans fan, what would you guys do and why? I think it's just a very interesting situation, as it is not anybody's fault. I also want to hear your guys' thought. A lot of people are saying Willie Green isn't a good coach. I've been a fan of Willie Green, and this is the first year it seems like people are calling him out, and I really don't think it's his fault. I mean, like, look at all the guys he's developed. I just feel like it'd be very short-sighted to get rid of him. So for me, the Pelicans this year have opened with a grim 4-17 record, and it's been compounded by an unprecedented string of injuries, with multiple starters and key players sidelined and underperforming expectations. This might be the year the franchise needs to embrace a gap year approach akin to the Memphis Grizzlies last year. The Grizzlies were having a similarly challenging season, and due to all the injuries they had, John Moran ended up missing basically the entire year, and they were able to recalibrate by getting a top 10 pick in Zach Edey, and he's looking great for them. And they also got Jalen Wells, who's looking like he could be the best Washington State shooter since Klay Thompson. And the Pelicans are the second worst net rating with a negative 11.8. They're the worst field goal percentage at 43.6, and they have the sixth worst three-point percentage at 33%. They're also defensively allowing opponents to shoot an alarming 48.5% from the field, ranking it among the league's worst in defensive efficiency. The absence of constant contributors like Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy, and others, even Jose Alvarado, has left this team relying on guys like Antonio Reeves. I mean, there was at one point they had Jalen Noel. Now they've got Elfrid Payton out there. Brandon Ingram's played 16 games. It's weird where Brandon Ingram's arguably one of your healthiest guys this season. He's leading the team with 23 points, 5.5 assists, and 46.5% shooting. However, he has 4 turnovers a game. And that's mainly because they're making him have to create out of nothing. He has no one. The only person the team needs to guard the opposing team needs to guard some nights is Brandon Ingram. And then Zion's only played 6 games. He's averaging 23 points and 8 rebounds, shooting 45% from the field. So for me, the thing where you look right here is Zion, when he's out there, he isn't making the defensive impact. He's just not impacting the game as he had in the past. And then Trey Murphy shooting 29% from three, who's usually a guy who's a sharpshooter, been for his whole career, who's drafted as a sharpshooter. So for me, I think that's the biggest one, is that when you look at this situation, I'm actually very, very surprised by how bad this team stats are for the New Orleans Pelicans. This is a squad that I had a lot more faith or thought it was going to be better. And then Dejounte Murray, who was acquired to strengthen the backcourt, he was a guy who's, if we get to find a rhythm, he's shooting 30% in 3 games. He's 16 points a game so far, and there's still questions about his fit alongside Ingram and Williamson remain unanswered, as the core has barely shared the floor together. So I think the Pelicans are obviously mirroring a similar situation as the Grizzlies did last year. So yeah, I think when we look at a team like the Pelicans, where they currently at, obviously it's not where they wanted to be, but I think they would benefit from, there's still an opportunity to turn this around. I think if we get closer to January, once all those basically restrictions have been lifted, I think it could help, because as we saw, the Grizzlies, they were back-to-back years being the second seed in the West, and they ended up being a lottery team last year. I think it just will allow you to, figure out which players are, winning players, and then allow Yves Messi, who's averaging, almost 8 and 8 points, 8 rebounds, Jordan Hawkins, to work on, ironing out certain parts of his skill sets that he still needs to refine, like his shooting efficiency and, going to better, more efficient spots, and just being a better playmaker. Likewise with Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, just to work through their things. So while the season might appear lost, I think there is a chance that they could use this to build on it and, improve their situation. So that's where I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you guys agree with me? The season appears lost, but taking a long-term perspective might set the Pelicans up for a brighter future, just as the Memphis Grizzlies are. The Memphis Grizzlies could be a dark horse team, and with health, a clear strategy, and perhaps another key draft addition, maybe they flip Brandon Ingram for somebody, and they also use this time to maybe trade CJ McCollum and bring in some guys, and they use this time just to incorporate them. I think it could lead to, them reaping some good rewards. And I think that's something just to think about, to consider, because they're a team that has, I think, a lot of talent, and they're deep, a lot deeper than most people would necessarily think. And I think that if they can capitalize on this year, giving them a good draft asset and develop their players, I think they'll be able to really, really just have a team that will go ahead and be able to kick ass and set themselves up long term, because they have the talent. That's it. Bye. Goodbye. Like, comment, subscribe.